Oh, hello everyone. Magandang gabi, Philippines. Magandang umaga. Very, very early morning dito sa North America. Magandang umaga po sa lahat. This is Dr. Iris. Medyo naantala po yung ating broadcast earlier dahil we had some time issues kasi usually our broadcasts run usually at 9 p.m. but we had to do it a bit earlier this time and si Coach Jonathan po, we are waiting for him to join us, but I do have our special guest. Nasa backstage na po ang ating special guest. So I'm just gonna wait for all of you to join us po. Ano, kasi I don't want you to miss yung mga pearls na matututunan natin tonight because for sure, marami po tayong matututunan from our special guest. Certainly, when we have guests with this caliber, gusto talaga natin to maximize our learning. And I encourage you, especially yung mga very success-oriented people dyan sa audience natin, again, take out your notes, yung ating mga nag-note-taking dyan, compiling all the different pearls na natututunan natin from these sessions. Think about it kasi this session is almost like a master class na po. It's like you're attending a conference where you learn certain things and the exciting thing about this is these are proven strategies na po. Kasi the guests that we have, of course, have applied itong mga bagay-bagay na itong i-share nila in their own lives. And that's what actually helped them to become successful, to get to where they are right now. And nakita nyo naman po siguro doon sa poster natin who our guest is. So if for the people who don't know yet, for all our new followers, yung hindi pa nakita yung broadcast namin before, with Attorney Dias. She is a UK-based lawyer po, isang fellow Filipino po natin na who's really like making waves in the UK. In fact, I think she has her segments sa isang TV show sa UK because she's doing a lot of advocacy dito sa immigration. Tinutulungan niya yung mga kababayan natin. And so she has really made a lot of impact in her own community. And hindi lang po yun, na-recognize din itong ginagawa niyang impact na ito in other countries as well, hindi lang sa Europe. So, and that made her like a multi-awarded, public figure, sabihin na natin. So, very, very exciting. And ang nakakatuwa dito is, syempre, with mga ganitong klaseng leaders po, what makes them stand out is yung pagkakaiba nila from the traditional mold. Minsan kasi, di ba, ang nakakasanayan natin pag mga ganyan na people tend to get yung certain personalities, but she's really, she has remained very, down to earth, very warm, very, kumbaga reachable, kumbaga parang ganun po. And this is really an exemplary, leadership skill na hindi natin nakikita basta-basta yung combination ng being very accomplished but at the same time, still maintaining yung ganong klase ng personality po. So that's why I'm really, really honored to get to know her. And so I'll be bringing her on. Let me see, tingnan natin. Yeah, I think we're ready to bring her on. Thank you very much to everyone for joining us. So I'll bring on ang ating special guest. So we have Attorney Dias. Hello, Attorney Crystal.
Hello, good afternoon here in the UK, Dr. Iris, and it's really early there in Canada, and good evening to those in the Philippines. So thank you for joining us. Ito po ay The Success Con with Dr. Iris Radev, and how beautiful she is early in the morning in Canada.
Oh, the attorney. Look at Attorney Dias. You're wearing my my favorite color, and you're so radiant as always. As always, beauty and brains. Si Attorney Dias po. Yeah. So very exciting na talakayan tonight. We will be again. This is just like any other session. It's going to be like a master class where you will learn actionable skills that you can apply right away po. So tonight, yung title ng talk natin is Top 3 Leadership Skills. So for all the people in our audience who are actually, number 1, professionals, number 2, business people, number 3, kahit mga students po, number 4, anyone who aspires to be a leader hindi lang, on a scale na parang sa circle nila, but you really want to expand and grow. Kasi, the more skill set that you acquire, the higher chances that you can actually like expand more. So in this case, like in Attorney Diaz's case, as a global leader. So yun yung i-share niya po sa atin na skills, top 3 skills that help her to become a global professional leader. So hindi lang kasi siya professional, but she's also a leader in her own field, as shown by yung mga numerous accolades, awards. Her firm was actually shortlisted as one of the candidates sa isang award sa UK po. So very, 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 nakaka-proud talaga si Attorney Diaz. Yeah. So pag-usapan na natin, Attorney, but before we do that, let's greet yung mga nandito sa audience natin. Good evening, Mr. Eugene Cubilio. Hello, sir. Hello, Nelvin. Hello, magandang gabi po. Miss Joan or Joanne Vender. Depende kung nasaan kayo. Magandang gabi. We also have M. Cantaro Alovera. Blessed evening. Some of our followers here are from our followers too from the health sector. Miss Anna Ferrer is also here. Gulot Texon, hello po. And Anna Ferrer, again, magandang gabi. We also have, I'm pulling up my own. We also have Sherilyn Apolinario, magandang gabi. Shout out kay Sir, kay Miss Grace. Miss Grace is also here. Sir Norwin from Global TV. Yes, magandang gabi po. We also have viewers so from Europe, most especially po, kasi Attorney Diaz is based in Europe. So we have viewers from Austria. So maraming salamat po. Saan po yung ating mga viewers dyan from London, from the UK, from other parts of Europe? Saan po kayo? Lagay po kayo dyan ng shoutout. Meron din tayo from Thailand, Miss Jovi Lagitaw. So certainly, we are being watched live from everywhere. Andito rin si Miss Gemma Jimenez Villanueva. Magandang gabi sa lahat. Miss Josefina, magandang gabi po. Josefina Ochiyumi, magandang gabi. Magandang gabi. Mila Flor, hello. And sino po ang hindi nabate? Yung hindi nabate, I will pull you up later na lang po. Ano yung comments? Miss Aileen, from Iloilo daw siya. Hello. Met Adder is also here. Miss Chanel, happy evening, everyone. Certainly, happy evening talaga. And thank you for tagging your friend, Miss Luella. Yeah, hopefully they can watch kasi dami-dami nating learning. Especially, meron ba tayo sa audience dyan, mga aspiring lawyers, mga aspiring immigrants sa UK. Ayan, this is, the show to watch ngayong gabi kasi we will learn a lot. So, Attorney, we will now talk about, just maybe a bit of a background sa'yo kasi sa mga hindi nakakapanood, although we will dive right into yung ating leadership skills, but maybe just give them a gist of, who you are, what brought you sa current position mo dyan, just an introduction sa'yo before we dive in.
Okay, so my name is Cristel Diaz. I was born in the Philippines. I came to UK when I was 16 to join my parents. So when I came here, I settled in a place where there's not many Filipinos, in fact. So it's all English people. So I adopted the life here in the UK. I then went to school, went to university, decided I want to become a solicitor. So I qualified as a solicitor, which is attorney sa Philippines, a lawyer in the US or in America. And that was in 2003. And after a while, I decided, actually, I want more. I want to own my own law firm. So in 2008, I set up Diaz Solicitors in London. So now, over 12 years later, here I am in your show. And thank you again for inviting me. Such an honor.
Yeah, she made it sound so simple po, Para lang walk in the park, she made it sound so simple. But obviously, if you want the full story behind how Attorney Diaz, got to where she is right now, nandyan po sa YouTube yan. Our previous interview with her, really like detailing her whole journey kasi very, very interesting. Imagine how often do you come across a fellow Filipino na practicing solicitor, right? I mean, yes, maybe second generation, you will find them kasi if they studied already there and, but someone who actually immigrated from the Philippines is very hard. Kasi nga, all the qualification processes that you need to pass, di ba, to even just qualify for law school, for solicitor school, yun pa lang po, it's quite a feat already, right? And so, kaya nga, every time we see people like her, nakaka-proud kasi it's so seldom that we see. We know it's such an arduous process to go through that. And so, pakipanood po kasi ma-inspire talaga kayo sa story niya. But tonight, it's all about her giving us straight up some really valuable tools. So ito po, tools ha, kasi remember guys, we always talk about the things that you learn here tonight, kailangan i-apply nyo yan. Okay? So whatever she will tell you tonight, we will have kind of like an actionable item for you. Okay? Later. And I'll just, kind of do a recap para po malaman natin paano natin i-apply. So tonight, the pag-uusapan natin are the top 3 skills. How do you really become this leader professional on a global scale? So, don't be daunted by the term global. Ano po? Kasi kung kunyari nasa Philippines kayo, sabihin nyo, hindi naman yan applicable sa akin. Wala naman akong balak lumabas ng bansa. But treat it in a way that, kasi nga, we are always talking about how technology has really like diminished all the barriers, right? So even if kayo ay currently nasa Philippines, you never know how, you have that potential kasi with things being all digital na, kahit kayo man ay professional, kahit kayo man ay business, with no more barriers dahil tayo ay may mga digital platforms na, you never know what your reach can be, right? And so, yung matututunan nyo dito tonight, jot it down, like write them down, dahil baka in the future, you actually will need it to break through sa global market. Sa global, like stage in some ways. Ano po? So, yun yung thrust natin tonight. Being kasi world-class, it entails a different skill set, right? Like yung mga usual natin na mga nakaugalian na, it won't work, right? We have to like really level up. Lagi nga natin sasabi, level up to that kind of global standard. So, attorney, let's talk about the first skill that you think, as a leader that has really helped you get into that position where kung saan ka ngayon, tell us the first skill that you think people should cultivate to become like global professional leaders or global leaders in their field.
Okay, the first one is self-awareness. So looking at the different aspects of myself. First, I'm a migrant. I'm a first generation migrant. I'm a woman, and I need education to get to where I am. So being a migrant, as you know, it's difficult. You have to work harder. You have to work harder than anyone else to get where you are. Getting work in a law firm is hard, or even going back, getting to a university. So thinking back, where do I need to go? Which university I should choose? So that's something I had to think about. Like, do I go to an all British school, or do I go to a school that embraces different cultures? So I decided I went to the School of Oriental and African Studies. It's a university in London, and it's the best decision I've made. So that encompassed everything about me. I'm a migrant, I'm a woman, and education. Education is so important to me because it is the key to a successful career. So having finished a law degree in the university, or it's a university, by the way, at that time when I did my law degree, it was top 5 in the country. So I was so proud that going to university is a big plus, because that helps you to move on to move forward to becoming a lawyer, because they look at your background, your educational background. So after that, then what's next? I had to go to law school, and you can be, after graduating from university, you can either go to become a barrister or a solicitor. There are two different lawyers in the UK, you see. So I decided to become a solicitor. I did that. I chose that because I wanted to meet clients. I wanted to get to know them. I wanted to litigate, and also attending court sometimes. So representing clients in court. So I finished my legal practice course. Then the most difficult part is getting a training contract. So after 4 years of study, then this hurdle where you get stuck. So as a migrant, it's not easy, because in my experience, it's given first to the locals. Finding a training contract is like gold dust. I searched for years to get one, and in order to get one, you have to shine, you have to work harder, you have to show to your boss, to your employer, look, I want this so bad. You have to choose me. And um and and they did. After 6 months as a paralegal, they gave me the training contract, because you know what, Dr. Iris, what I did, I was working from 6 o'clock in the morning and sometimes finishing at 1 o'clock in the morning,
Oh,
not only
wow.
doing the tasks that I did, but also extra work for the firm. So I had to make sure I stood out above anyone else. So if they've given me cases, I ask for more. I can do this. Of course, I have to look back and say, look, am I able to do this? Am I competent? Am I capable? Am I able to meet the deadline? Of course, I'm not going to just take on anything that would put me into trouble. But I did it. And um, it's all blood, sweat, and tears. But in the end, after 2 years of qualifying, of finishing the training contract, I qualified as a solicitor, and that's the best feeling ever, because it's so special to me, because no one in my family, Dr. Iris, actually finished a degree, even a law degree, abroad, and actually becoming a professional. So I'm the very first solicitor in my family, and my family is so proud of me for doing that. So and I have my mom to thank for it, because she's such an inspiration. She's so confident in what she did. She didn't. She was a business person, but she didn't have the degree, but she's a very clever lady. So she's my inspiration, and she's so proud of me that I have achieved this on my own. And so a very long journey for me, and I know my limits, but I know my capability of becoming a solicitor. So I'm very happy now that after, I think it's 18 years, 18 years now, I'm a solicitor. So and after that, I said to myself, okay, do I really want to work for someone, to continue working for someone? And I said, no, I want my own law firm. So in 2008, I set up my law firm by myself. I didn't join a firm to become a partner. I left the old firm, and I rented a small room in London, in central London, one table, one chair, one desk, one phone. That's it. Go. I started calling people. I started marketing. And it's my own terms as well, because I'm a young mom. Well, a first time mom. And so I was juggling work and home. And eventually my husband joined me, again, being aware of what I can do at this point. My husband joined me eventually, and we became partners. So having that balance, knowing that with him, I'm more confident, in running my own law firm. So I think if you're aware of what you're doing and you're confident enough and you think you are competent and capable, you can make it. But don't be overconfident, because I think for me, you have to step back and you have to analyze the reasoning for the decision you're making. So always think, okay, can I do this? But of course, you have to be positive that you can do it. But you just have to make sure that you have uh, the skills, the knowledge, the ability to do things. So that's self-aware.
Wow. Yeah, so that's so wonderfully said. There are so many things that I want our audience to really capture from yung experience mo na yon, how you tie that in with yung journey mo. It's very important what she said about self-awareness as the foundation. And why is that? Kasi through self-awareness, like in her case, right? Si Attorney Dias, alam niya it's going to be really tough. Kaya nga gold dust, right? It's gold dust. You almost cannot, secure any training position. More so, like yung journey is not going to be that easy. So ang ginawa niya, she became self-aware. Okay, here's what we have. So currently, what she has is she is a migrant and she is a woman. So starting from that, ano pa lang basis yung parang self-awareness natin. And I want you all to listen very carefully to this because you have to apply it to yourself as well. Saang stage ka man ng journey mo ngayon, are you actually self-aware? Right? Kasi by looking at either yung mga sabihin na nating assets mo. So for example, is there something about you, for example, that you can potentially use para i-craft mo yung journey mo? So in this case, like in her case, di ba sabi niya, okay, being a migrant and being a woman, I think I should go to this particular school. And it turned out to be actually one of the best decisions she's made kasi through that, ang daming nangyari doon when she took that path. So the same for you. Maybe you're a business person, maybe you're a professional, a student. What is unique about you? Be self-aware. Ano ba ang meron bang mga disadvantages din sa akin? Kasi if you look at it also, yung journey niya, you can also think about it as somehow also baka pwede ring makita yun na baka nga disadvantage yung kasi babae ako. Or it can be viewed as maybe that's an advantage kasi babae ako, right? So when you're self-aware like that, you can actually look at the things about you that you can maximize or, take into account para tulungan ka mag-decide. So in her case, knowing that she's a migrant, knowing that she's a woman, she knew she had to, number one, go to this particular school. Number two, she had to put in the long hours that made her stand out, right? So maybe ikaw, ganyan din ang journey mo, right? Like, okay, maybe ang negosyo ko nasa probinsya. So what should I do to kind of put this business in a more national scale, right? So having that self-awareness is so critical, guys. Kasi sometimes yun ang magtutulong sa'yo to make that decision to actually, kumbaga i-push ka forward, right? So like, sa katulad niya, dahil she works so hard, imagine going in 6 a.m. tapos uuwi ka 1 a.m. na rin, right? It's almost like, almost 24 hours, ano na lang yun. 19 hours of work, right? But she needed to do that kasi she was so very self-aware na being an immigrant, being a woman, and the positions being given mainly sa locals, she had to do that. Otherwise, walang mangyayari. Kung wala kang self-awareness, yung head mo nasa clouds, then that's not gonna happen, right? So that's a really powerful foundation, guys. So whatever journey you're in right now, kung hindi mo gusto kung anong positioning mo ngayon sa either negosyo mo, sa pag-aaral mo, sa career mo, be self-aware. Teka, what do we have here? Ano ang meron ako? Ano ang pwede kong gamitin? Ano ang kailangan kong gawin base sa kung anong meron ako para isulong ko ang sarili ko forward? Okay, so that was beautiful. And by the way, guys, Coach John has already joined us. So welcome lang natin si Coach John, ha? Coach John is already here. Coach John, hello.
Magandang gabi mula sa Pilipinas, mga kababayan. And attorney, nice to meet you. Attorney,
hello, Coach John. Pleased to meet you.
Yes, so si Coach and Attorney Dice are actually meeting for the first time. So,
Mhm.
Coach, tayo ay, binibigyan ni attorney ng very, very valuable like learning skills that really has helped her, become the global, multi-awarded,
Correct.
public figure that she is. Coach, alam mo ba, she also does, meron din siyang show sa EU. Sa One
Mm.
Connect ba yun, attorney? She has a
One.
show.
One you
Wow.
can, yes.
Yeah,
One you
so,
connect. Wow. Great to hear that, attorney.
Yes, it's
yeah.
nice to meet you. I have seen you on Facebook because I've
Mhm.
been following Dr. Iris, and I think you're great.
Wow. Thank you so much, attorney. Thank you so much. Doc, magandang umaga dyan. I know you are so busy. I was tuned in yesterday sa show mo. And yeah, busy is good, but I hope everyone is in good shape, no? As we prepare for another what? It was so surprising, Doc, no? Biyernes na pala ulit bukas, no? Ang bilis nung
Ang
mga araw at
bilis.
malapit at malapit na yung ating Success Con. Ayan, yung ating leadership Success Con.
Yeah. So currently ngayon, coach, ang ginagawa natin is we're giving them some actionable learnings based on
Mhm.
attorney Di's experience. And ang una nating skill, the first skill she talked about is self-awareness. And this actually helped
Correct.
her to it helped really catapult her career, to where it is right now. Kasi nga she was
Correct.
aware. So now
Correct.
we're gonna move forward na uh, sa ating next skill, attorney. So the next skill that you wanted to share with them that helped you to become, a global professional leader. So go ahead, attorney.
So the second one is effective communication. So this is very important, Dr. Iris and Coach John. When I arrived in the country, I had problems understanding British people because I learned in the Philippines, American accent, American English. When I arrived in the UK, it's so different. So having to learn English again in that sense, and studying law made it more difficult for me. So when I was at university, I had to quickly learn how things are said in English, English. And then, of course, as a law student, I had to take part in mock trials, mooting. So that's very important. So straight away, I had to show how confident I was in speaking, how I'm able to um, um, summarize the case, things like that. And obviously, after law school, I found myself in employment in a British company. Then, being a migrant, I have to stand out, not just like any other migrant, if you like, but I have to sound intelligent. I have to look intelligent. I have to be intelligent. So when I was working, I was meeting clients. I was sent to court. I used to uh, represent clients who were lenders, so
Mhm.
repossessing people's houses. So I didn't like that at all, but I had to do it. So when I used to go to court, I represented big companies. So having to have an effective communication with the judge and the client, making sure they understand what my case was about. So as a lawyer, you have to be able to communicate well. Now, not just as a solicitor, but also as a person. It's basically how to interact with people around me, my family, my work colleagues, clients. I mentioned earlier, friends. Everything that I say or do, they hold on to it. They hold just to make sure that what I say has is literally what I'm saying. It has a meaning that I mean what I say. But I do focus on listening because that's how I learn. I listen to people's problems. That's my job, and then I give them advice. So I make sure it's clear, it's concise, it's simple, so they know the message. They know exactly what I'm telling them. I set clear boundaries and make compromising agreement if necessary. So I think it's very important that not only, you write things down, but verbally sometimes, if you don't need anything in writing, you make sure you convey what you mean well.
Mhm.
And also, lastly, you regularly check in with people that you love and you work with. So that again is all about communication. So it's still a work in progress. You learn as you go along.
Correct.
So, but for me, that's my second leadership skill.
I
Correct.
couldn't agree more. Ano, coach?
Correct.
Yeah.
Doctor, I really love what attorney mentioned about, especially to our kababayans who are listening. Listening actually is a skill, because sometimes attorney, correct, now when we want to become effective communicators, we thought that, of course, we have to understand, what others are saying, but more importantly, we listen so that we understand, not we listen because we want to answer them back. These
Yes.
are two different things, no, sa ating mga kababayan, because sometimes we listen attentively so that we will catch them say the wrong words, and that's the time that we can attack, in this new digital economy, or in this new economy. Listening is really, if I may say, as a consultant or as a coach, it's, as a coach also, we do a lot of listening. That's why every time I had the chance to talk to Doctora, I will talk, because the whole day I just listen, and listening, attorney was right. For you to be effective, mga kababayan, to be effective communicators. No, because good communication skills is different from interpersonal communication. And what I learned from attorney, effective communicators listen. And you just don't get that, but just by being good, communicators.
Yes.
The subject verb agreements, it's another thing, of course, but it's how you really connect. I think that's my key
Yes.
learning takeaway here, Doctora.
Yes, I cannot agree more. So, guys, although it's really important, like lalo na sa global stage po, to
Mm.
be able to speak, syempre, and with this, we don't mean na kailangan gayahin nyo sila na mag-slang din kayo or whatever.
Correct,
As long as
correct.
naiintindihan ang pag-i-English nyo, okay na po iyon. Kahit pa nga minsan, hindi naman ganun ka-perfect, okay lang din po iyon. Basta tama yung
Mm.
context, and the only way you'll ever get to have the right context is if you actively listen. So hindi lang po
Mm.
listen ha, actively listen. Yung
Correct.
talagang, what is the person really saying? Look at the non-verbals, look at the way they, listen to the intonation, yung mga, behind that, what are they actually saying? Is it conveying what's important to them? Kasi that's how you actually establish good ground with communication, is you have to look at ano yung importante sa taong ito. Kasi if you don't take that into account kung ano yung sinasabi nila, mapuputol eh. Dahil if you keep talking about yourself, walang ano. I used to do that
And,
when I was much
and
younger.
to add to that, attorney, ang ganda ng sinabi ni attorney, one of the things that I learned over the last years, and which I think very, very vital, in our during this pandemic, at the end of the day, the end result of effective communication is influence. Even though you speak well, but you were not able to influence your audience or the person you're talking. Kasi in selling, doc, no? Sabihin na natin selling, no? I saw a lot of people who are really good communicators, but they cannot sell. You get the point, no? But there are those who just say a few words, but there's influence in the end. Why? I think the secret there is they use their logic to really to touch emotions, because yeah, scientifically, doc, di ba? Uh, uh, there's this amygdala, no, in the brain, wherein there is an emotion to make decisions. Unless you touch that, they will not make decisions. So as effective communicators, what attorney mentioned, you are really there to somehow influence them and make them understand, especially in UK, attorney, di ba? We can copy, Filipinos can copy, sa mga call center, Australian baka mo, di ganito tayo, UK baka mo. Pero kaya mong gayahin, pero to comprehend, I'm thinking of that word, but comprehension, ayan. That's the end result of being an effective communicator. You can comprehend. Oo. Hindi na puputol. Hindi na puputol kasi, Doc, sa iba, gagaling ng accent, di ba? Pero sa
Yeah.
totoo, walang content.
Exactly.
Out of context.
Out of
Yeah.
content, oo.
A lot of politicians, they talk
Yeah.
but they don't mean it. They don't say much sense, really.
Correct. Correct. Correct.
Yeah.
They just
So
talk. They just talk and talk and talk just for the sake of talking.
Talking,
Because
yes,
talking, guys,
absolutely.
ha? Talking, mga kababayan, iba po yun sa communicating, ha? Iba yun.
Yes,
Oo, iba
yes,
yun. Iba yun.
yeah.
Galing.
yeah, huge gap, and very exciting, coach, actually. Kasi in our uh, success con, ano, very exciting ito,
Mm.
coach, kasi sa success con natin, magkakaroon actually tayo ng skill building about communication.
Wow. I
One of
love that.
our speakers, one of our resource speakers, si Coach Eileen is actually yan ang kanyang, I know si Coach John, he's also very good at communicating. Obviously, Attorney Dias is also very good. Pero meron
Mm.
talaga tayong coach who teaches about communication, and Coach
Galing.
Eileen will actually be there. She is ano talaga siya, about all about this, kumbaga kasi kahit coaching may mga subspecialty din yan. So very exciting talaga kasi nga it's a key piece in leadership. And coach, it's great na mention mo yung influence kasi I think actually yun ang i-share next ni attorney eh.
Mm.
Attorney, let's go
Really?
ahead. Yung
Yeah, I
leadership,
like it already.
yeah. So leadership skill number 3, attorney, go ahead.
It's influence.
Really?
Yes. And as you said, I totally agree with you. If you can't influence others, then you're not communicating well.
Mm.
So for me, over a period of time, my confidence grew, my knowledge expanded, and I
Mhm.
wanted to share them to others. But obviously, I communicated everything about myself to others, and I feel that I've made a difference when I joined several Philippine organizations in the UK, so such as the Filipino Women's Association UK. I'm currently a board member. I think for the last 3 years now, I've got one more year to go. Currently, I'm the vice chair, internal
Mhm.
affairs, and also Kanlungan, which is a charity helping. Sorry, going back to FWA UK, they're actually um, advocating women's rights
Mhm.
and education. So we're supporting Filipino scholars at the moment. Now, the other organization is Kanlungan, which is a charity, and they advocating undocumented migrants' rights, helping vulnerable women and children. So I'm giving free legal advice,
Wow.
education advice to them. So that's currently what I'm doing. And as Dr. Ivy said, I'm also a part of this team, Juan EU Connect, which is produced by a senior correspondent of ABS-CBN, Rosie Clarinal. So she formed this many years ago, and I only joined in 2019. Uh, and during that time, I've helped out with the production, giving legal advice and everything, because the show is about inspiring, honoring uh, overseas Filipino workers, and also, educating and entertaining our kababayans. So we're doing really well because, we've been supported by the National Lottery. So we had the 6-part docu-series basically highlighting what happened during the pandemic.
Mhm.
And recently, the program won individually, the team individually won the Mega World International Award. And for my own, as well as Dr. Iris mentioned, um, in my time as a solicitor and owning my own law firm,
Mhm.
I made sure that I imparted my knowledge to my paralegals, to my trainee solicitors, and
Mhm.
it's like a mentorship. I have currently, she started off as a paralegal, and now she's a trainee solicitor, a Filipina as well. She was born in the
Wow.
Philippines, but she grew up in Wales, and she is amazing. And with that uh, in mind, she is helping me with my projects as well. So I think that's going to be my next project. Basically, I'm taking on a lot of work experience, young people who they want to spend summertime, working in my firm, and I want to continue that. So, and I'm just proud that I don't like blowing my own trumpet, but it was recognized by the Filipino Women's Network in 2018 when I was awarded 100 most influential women, but in the world. But the icing on the cake really was when my own profession recognized my firm. So Dice Listed was shortlisted in 2020 in the small law firm category. So although we didn't win, but out of 3,000 law firms in the country, we're one of them that was picked to be
Mhm.
shortlisted. So yeah.
Imagine that, coach.
Yeah,
Filipino, Filipino
100
owned, Filipino owned law firm,
law
right?
It's
firm.
the first
Yeah,
one
And
that I know.
100.
chosen. Imagine 3,000, over 3,000 plus na syempre owned by mainly malamang mga locals or whatever,
Mhm,
established,
mhm.
and Attorney Dice's firm is one of those na nandun. And, it's just
Correct,
such amazing work, the
correct,
power of ano talaga, influence and the work that she's doing with all these organizations, right? Na
correct,
ano nga,
correct.
and yeah, so,
But since
and
then, Dr. Iris is like other law firms, they want to work with us. So they contacted us after
Mhm.
finding out. So through LinkedIn, through social media, they wanted to
amazing.
share the work.
Amazing.
Yeah. So it works, it's that's why influence is my number three leadership skill.
Correct. Correct. And usually,
Yes.
doc and attorney, one of the things that, I really notice is a person of influence, how should I say this? Sa ating mga kababayan kasi pagka ma-influensya, negative ang dating di ba? Yung parang, uy, kilalanin natin yan, kagamit-gamit kasi nakaka-influensya yan. Sometimes it's taken on a negative side But one of the things I remember, no, in his book, no, John Maxwell, in his one of the 21 irrefutable laws of leadership, he mentioned about influence. Leadership is all about influence, nothing more, nothing less. Oh, that's why yan i-discuss natin yan sa leadership success con, no, na as a leader, one of the things that we should check, sabi nga ni attorney kanina, yung self-awareness natin is, are we influencing someone? Kasi especially napapansin ko dito sa Pilipinas, yung people who are in authority, uh, they use their position to influence it, which for me that's the least thing that you will do to use your influence. I mean, to use your position to influence rather than your actions. Katulad nung nangyari nga kay attorney, di ba? People are, like there's now a demand. People are being drawn to the practice, no, because there's influence, and you don't use your position, attorney, di ba? But just because of the end result, no, you are transforming people, and yun mga kababayan, yun yung titingnan natin. Kasi I believe there's leadership in everyone, no, may leadership yan Tingnan niyo, subukan niyo lang sa kapitbahay niyo, tanong niyo, di ba, uy Mare, anong ulam mo? O ganyan, di ba? O sabihin mo, pwede ba makahingi? O pag hindi ka binigyan, wala kang influence. O kailangan bigyan ka niya. Oo, kasi pag nabigyan ka niya,
I remember that when I was little. You go to
di
the
ba?
neighbors, meron kayong may asukal kayo.
Tukal, di ba? Okay,
Yeah.
mantika, attorney, mantika. Uy, sabi ng nanay, baka daw pwede makahiram ng mantika. Parang as if ibabalik, no? No, but seriously, doon mo makikita yung influence. No, simple lang. Halimbawa, manonood kayo ng sine or kakain kayo sa labas or whatever. Tingnan nyo yan kasi it's really a skill Kaya nga, di ba, ang ganda ng topic, and it's really a leadership skill. If you cannot influence your spouse or the people close to you, nako, medyo you better ask yourself, no, na kailangan meron ka diyan. It's a must, no? And it's a skill. Actually, hindi yan nabibili, no? Nahuhuni yan. Kaya nga, attend kayo ng Success Con, and we will be teaching you, no, and sharing with you tips and practical applications, to be influential. On a positive, kasi, Doc, di ba, attorney, minsan, influential yan nagagamit di ba? O, iboto natin yan, kasi
Yeah.
ma-influensya yan, di ba?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, it's so very important po to expand at a global scale. Yung uri po ng influence na hinahanap natin dito, hindi yung nakasanayan natin na Filipino style. Not to not to belittle or whatever. Marami ding good traits ang mga Pilipino, pero ang hinahanap nating uri ng influence dito yung minention ni Coach, yung katulad ng minimension ni John
Attorney.
Maxwell na itinuturo, katulad ng na-mention ni Attorney,
Yes.
yung ganung klase po ng influence
Correct.
na because it's because you are first of all self-aware kung anong mga pwede mong i-offer.
Tama.
Second, dahil effective communicator ka, then it's a natural progression, it's an aftermath of all those things. Then you're able to influence people because you know exactly kung ano yung mga strengths mo and even your weaknesses. Dahil minsan you can you can hone nga, you can capitalize on that. And that makes you actually unique, right? Yung combination na yun, strengths and weaknesses. And then, effective communicator ka pa, which will lead to influence. So, actionable step po, dahil every time na we come together with the learning, we always have to have actionable steps. So, pagdating sa communication, kasi hindi ko na-mention kanina, ask yourself, honestly, hindi nyo kailangan sabihin kahit kanino, 1 to 10, tanungin nyo ang sarili nyo, effective communicator ba ako? Nasaan ako sa listening skills ko? Am I a 2? So, let me work on that. How am I with my speaking? Kumusta ako? Naiintindihan ba ako ng mga tao? Masyado ba ako mabilis magsalita? Masyado ba ako mabagal? Right? So, things like that. Because that's the only way.
Pasigaw. Masyado mataas yung pitch, no? Pasigaw.
Exactly.
That's
Yes. Are you?
true, I find a lot of Filipinos, they like shout at each other. It's quite loud. And I was told by my husband, actually, what are you shouting? I'm next to you,
Yes, kasi attorney, ibang lahi kasi ang asawa ni Attorney Diaz So, he's Portuguese, attorney? Or
he's Anglo-Indians, but
Anglo-Indian, yes.
Yeah,
So,
surname.
and that's so true, right? And it all starts with, again, self-awareness. Kasi to be an effective communicator. And I was actually like that, attorney. Alam niyo ba, Coach? I used to not communicate this way. I used to be very high-pitched, yung walang ka-aware-aware, yung gano'n na tipong magsha-shutdown. Alam mo ba ang brain? Nagsha-shutdown at certain pitches. At certain, if you are speaking in a very high pitch, areas of the brain actually shut down and refuse to listen to you.
Correct.
So, very important po, cultivate the skill of actually speaking in a very grounded manner. Yung meron kang pacing, yung meron ka and it can be cultivated. Kasi kung ako nga nagawa ko po, kung si Attorney Diaz nga, di ba, kung si Coach nga, right? Kaya po yan. It's a skill na bibuild po siya.
And then shy ako dati, Doc Shy
ganun,
ako.
Coach, parang hindi ako makapaniwala.
Timid ako dati, oo.
Really?
Joke lang, ikaw.
So it doesn't show.
I-add ko pa, Doc, sa sinabi nga ni Atty. kanina, alala ko rin yung mga practical tips, add lang ako dun sa effective communicator. Yung one of the things that you can do, ewan ko nga, tama sabi niya, ang Pilipino kasi mataas yung pitch and we're always excited to the point na yung kasama mo, nagsasalita pa yung kausap mo, daldal ka na rin ng daldal. I don't know bakit gano'n, di ba? Parang why? And honestly, Doc and Attorney, foreigners are really, surprised when we're like that. Classic example, when I was in Dubai, so ang elevator girl doon, babae. Of course, babae, elevator girl. Sabi niya, so nandun na, nagsakay ng mga Indian, di ba, British, sa Dubai, di ba, rin sila multi-race and all Sabi ng isang Pilipino, baba. Sabi niya gano'n, baba. Hula mo, sagot ng Pilipina, bababa. Nagulat lahat ng mga kasi imagine mo, para tayong alien, di ba, ang narinig mo lang, baba. Ako, tono-tono lang yun, baba. Sabi nung, bababa.
2 letters, different ways of saying it. Yeah.
Pero what I'm saying is, effective, di ba? Nagkaintindihan. No? So there are things, mga kababayan, na matututunan yan, ituturo sa atin yan. Sometimes you just have to say few words, pero may power. Nako, gusto ko yan, yung mga may power magsalita. Yung konting, meaningful. Alam mo yun, Doc, yung tumatagos talaga sa puso. Kasi pag tumagos sa puso, mapapaisip ka. Bibihira ako nakakita ng tao na napaisip bago tumibok yung puso. Mapapatibok mo muna yung puso bago yan mapapaisip. So
Mm.
yun
Yeah,
yung
and it
ganung
all
klaseng communicator.
tama,
No,
coach. It all
attorney
relates
knows that.
again.
Attorney knows that, no, sa court hearing, no, attorney during the litigation. Sa tanong pa lang ng lawyer, kakabahan ka na eh. Di ba? Di ba?
True.
Because, that's why, effective communication is a skill, a leadership skill.
Yes, napaka ano talaga nun, coach, no? And finally po, yung application ng skill number 3.
Mhm.
Okay? Application ng skill number 3, ask yourself, are you able to influence other people? Like, honestly ask yourself, ito bang leadership skill na ito, meron na ba talaga ako nito? Meron bang
Mhm.
mga nakikinig sa akin? Meron bang, sometimes, pwede na nating i-discount yung family members dyan. Kasi kahit nga ako, mismong doktor, I don't, tell my family members kasi usually family members, they don't, like, listen to you that much and all that. But look at the other, yung sphere ng, na ginagalawan mong circles. Are you able actually to influence people? Kung hindi pa, good news, maaari ding i-cultivate po yan. And that is true. Yung unang dalawang na-mention ni attorney, through self-awareness, to know what you can offer, what you can bring in to the situation. And second, yung effective communication. So yun po yung mga learnings natin tonight. And sana ay meron kayong application na gagawin. Maybe tomorrow when you wake up, kung nasa Pinas kayo, maybe
Correct.
later kung andito kayo sa amin, mag-start pa lang yung day natin.
Or tanghali, no? Tanghali sa UK pa lang
Tanghali,
ngayon. Yeah.
UK,
Yes,
hapon.
3:30.
Yeah, so attorney, let's invite them na sa kasi dami mo pang i-share sa amin. Let's invite them na sa ating Success Con. Soon to come up na po yung ating registration page for this, but let's invite them, attorney.
Yes, so everyone, to all the followers of Dr. Iris and Coach Jonathan, please register. I think you showed the link on how to do that, but I will be one of the guest speakers, and I'm so looking forward to this in sometime in October. And I hope please to join us because it's such a useful learning tool. So even if you think that okay, may not find it useful now, I might find it useful in the future. So please, I think it's important that you join us in October. So thank you very much for having me tonight or today.
Always a pleasure, attorney. It's always a pleasure.
Maraming
And
salamat po.
yun nga, yeah, we're looking forward. Talagang skill building po ito. Itong ating convention is actually a convention. You go home with a takeaway sheet. How will you apply
Correct.
it? After every talk, coach, meron silang actionable sheet that they will
Correct.
take home to apply sa kanilang businesses and
Correct.
And not only that, syempre, coach, the attendees, we will have kind of like a fellowship night. So it's a perfect venue for networking with fellow leaders.
Correct.
Perfect
Correct.
venue for meeting our speakers. So you will get to meet,
Correct.
sila attorney just virtually for now. Hopefully in the
Of
future,
course.
live na tayo, Yes, and so it's a great way to talagang connect globally. So yun lamang po, Coach, we'll see them again next week. I think, Coach, ikaw lang
Yes.
next week. Wala po ako next
Sure.
week. So,
Mawawala ka ba, Doc? You'll be on vacation?
wala
Or?
ako next week. I will be completely offline po as usual. Alam niyo naman, I mainly,
Correct.
so I'll be out of reach po, out of coverage area in the wilderness. So si Coach po ang nandito next week.
Sure.
So, abang-abang na lang po kayo lahat. And thank you once again, attorney, for your time. Alam
Maraming
ko,
salamat,
You're
attorney.
welcome. It's a pleasure meeting you both, and I'll see you
Stay
again very
safe.
soon.
Sure,
Okay.
attorney. Stay safe po.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.